Susanna and Carmelo, and it's about the complexity of science and how that can sometimes create myths, particularly with media and its communication of it. So I'd like to ask each of you what's a common myth about climate science in the media and what we might do about better communicating about that myth.
Well, I mean, you know, what makes science so complex, and gosh, I'm really vague, is just so much. I think that what the biggest problem that I had when I was in Sweden working for the IUP's International Network was the issue of feedbacks and the fact that we never are, as Jess says, it's not about predicting, it's about projecting, and you never really can predict because it's such a complex system, and you never quite know how any one element of the system is going to interact with another element. And so this whole idea of tipping points and positive feedback loops is just, I mean, the science of climate change is unfortunately very complicated. And of course, when you have complex science like that, then there are myths. I mean, I think there are myths, you know, there are some common myths which I still hear being spouted about things like, you know, that we're actually cooling. I mean, this is something, of course, that's being pushed by the skeptics. And that is quite a challenge for the scientists because, you know, you have to look at the El Nino and La Nina cycles and look at, you know, where you're actually framing your question from. You know, if it's 1998, and of course everything else after 1998 is going to seem cool. Everybody 98 is looking here. So there's a lot of those sort of misunderstandings, probably more than myths, that certainly need to be dispelled and are still out there, unfortunately.
Well, I think feedback is crucial because in many cases, you know, journalists don't just talk to one or two scientists. They may, their net, if they have time, maybe cast far and wide. And yes, they will come across people, scientific experts, scientists themselves, who say, well, yeah, the trend looks like it's warming, but you know, what about this study? What about the NASA study that showed, you know, that the planet is for the 2000 or 1900 the coolest years on record? That yes, that we're going through phases. I mean, how does a journalist take this information out to the public without being so alarmist and sensationalist? Well, like I tried to touch on, you know, we have to find a line that, literally a line that people are going to believe. I don't know, again, I keep coming back to this idea of trust. Journalists are not going to sit there all day, particularly when they're in a newsroom reading scientific journals that they, you know, need dictionaries for. They just can't do it. And to specialise in those sort of areas, there's also an inherent danger there too, because the feedback loop gets affected. And what I mean by that is that if a journal specialises too heavily in one area, whether it be climate change or health sciences or environmental, you know, genetics, let's say, I just think that what's being jeopardised there is time, because there really isn't any. You know, we're getting exposed to information and consuming information very quickly, and to update on some of the problems that have been highlighted, you know, takes time. And that lag, that feedback, you know, gap is going to affect public perceptions about whether they should be believing what they're reading or hearing or seeing. And, you know, just stick to the main daily breakfast of science news that's coming off TV and the internet. It's a jumble out there, really.
Thank you. Do we have questions from the floor? We've